What's up, guys, and welcome back to Wake Up Entertainment. So it is currently trending right now, this story of Abselum Zongu. And as you know, Brigadier Gininda was talking about Abselum Zongu as one of his key witnesses in this Meiwa trial. So there's this article that was written by the Sunday World, whereby they are saying a key witness in the sense of Meiwa trial has thrown Brigadier Gininda under the bus, and this key witness being talked about here is Abselum Zongu. So this article was shared by Sihle Mabuso, the journalist from the News Flash. So he is saying Abselum Zongu deposed an affidavit at the Newcastle police station and has thrown lead investigator Brigadier Gininda under the bus for allegedly cooking evidence. So obviously, if this is true, it's not looking good for Gininda, because this Abselum Zongu was like a central key witness in his case. He is like holding the foundation, of his entire testimony. And if this is true, it is going to destroy like everything, that Gininda is currently presenting in court right now. Because Gininda had used an affidavit that was said to have been signed by Abselum Zongu, and through using that affidavit, he then arrested these 5 guys. So that's the justification that Gininda was giving in court, to say, I arrested these guys based off the affidavit that was given by Abselum Zongu, amongst other evidences that Gininda had collected himself. So one of the key questions that I'm actually asking myself, is that why is Abselum Zongu coming out now? Because, his name, Abselum Zongu, has continuously been talked about over and over again. There were even calls by Gininda himself, in saying that I'm trying to bring him as a witness, but he fears for his life, etc., etc. Why wasn't he talking, all this time? I think it's a question that can be asked, Maybe it's because Abselum Zongu was trying to distance himself from this case, because he didn't want his name to be entangled in it. But I think maybe public scrutiny is now intense, and he now wants to avoid a reputational fallout or legal fallout, because per this article, he never willingly, not per this article, but generally, it's being said, he said that he never willingly gave the statement in itself. So I think the defense has to look into this affidavit. They have to obviously rush to Newcastle police station and look for this affidavit, if it is indeed there at Newcastle police station, because this is a great affidavit that they can use to win the case for the defense, if it is indeed there, obviously. So they can use that affidavit to question the credibility of Brigadier Gininda in the entire investigation, or they can even subpoena Zongu to testify directly under oath. But obviously that is one thing that Abselum Zongu wouldn't want, to appear in court and testify. Because if it is indeed proven, that that initial affidavit that Gininda had is proven that it was misrepresentative, it could be devastating, for the prosecution. Maybe grounds for acquittal, a mistrial, it's like a mistrial for this entire trial. But before we get far ahead of ourselves, it's actually the son of Abselum Zongu who was at the hostel. This is where things get really complex. Because it's Fiso Zongu who was allegedly at Voslora's hostel and linked the accused men, particularly Mthobise Mncube, So where does Abselum Zongu come in now if it's the son who saw the accused? This is a very critical question. But the interesting part now is that it's actually Sifiso Zungu. No, Sifiso Zungu is the one who was at Voslor's hostel, right? But it's Abselum Zongu who wrote the affidavit from Gininda. It's not Sifiso Zungu who was at Voslor's hostel. So you can see that it's actually interesting, around this Zungu thing. So maybe Gininda, got an affidavit from Abselum Zongu, to try and bolster the evidence in itself. So here is like what is going on. Abselum Zongu, he was approached by Gininda around late 2019 via his son Sifiso Zongu. And after being approached by Gininda, that's when he allegedly gave this affidavit. But now, according to Sunday World, he is disputing ever signing that affidavit. And he was not at Voslorus, a hostel, not even a direct witness to seeing any of these witnesses. So it's a challenge for Gininda. So one of the people who have commented on this issue is Patricia Mashale. She was in shock, and kind of like happy, to see that it's finally like coming to an end for Brigadier Gininda. Patricia Mashale, was posting on her social media account and supporting, Abselum Zongu for having that courage to post that statement at Newcastle police station. So another way that the defense can like work around this issue, is that after getting that affidavit, they can even open like maybe a case of defeating the ends of justice. It's another way that they can do this. So it turns out, that General Mkwanazi, sort of like opened, the floodgates for people to be like confident, when it comes to speaking out. So that's what Abselum Zongu sort of like did here per this article. And it's so much, and I've seen like some journalists, like Chris Exelder, being like tagged, to say, come here and cover this story. But it's still with Sunday World now. When it finally like gets to mainstream media, SABC, Newsroom Africa, when it finally gets there, then you can definitely be assured that, we are on to something here. So this is it about Abselum Zongu in the statement at Newcastle police station. I'll catch you guys on the next one.